Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm Sherry Smeraglia, and I'm here with Carol Tuberville, and we're just going to chill out, sit down, have a drink. I'm having coffee, and you're having a, what'd you say, one of them energy drinks.
It's an energy drink.
She needed the energy.
I need a little more. I don't drink coffee.
So no caffeine. Well, that's caffeine.
It has a lot of caffeine.
It's your version anyway.
Yes, but I don't do coffee. So.
Well, welcome, guys. We're going to just hang out and talk about the day. We're going to connect. I want to find out what's been going on in Carol's world today. You know, Tuesday's phone call day. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to kind of find out if there's anything interesting that's happened today that we can talk about without talking about such private stuff.
I had a really good, happy ending story. I got an email from AKC Reunite that one of our pets had been found somewhere and that the owner hadn't registered the microchip.
They have not?
They had not registered, and all the way back from 2020 is what this dog's date of birth was.
Really?
So you're talking about a 3-year-old dog at this point. And so out in Texas, and so I reached out to the owner, sent them an email, also called, left a voicemail, and so I followed up with the shelter that had found the dog and everything, and just kind of following up to make sure, hey, I sent the email and all yesterday, just want to follow up, make sure he got home, or
That's
do
good.
we need to try to get some moving pieces to get him somewhere?
To get our puppy back.
Yes, and he was reunited almost right away with his owner, that was their baby, but the animal control officer that found him said, I don't normally do this, but he had a 4-day hold, and if I didn't hear from anybody, I was sure fixing to take him home. I was like, well, I'm glad that his owner was reunited and that everything went good. So really cool thing about the microchips that a lot of people don't know. Number one, you need to register your chip.
Right.
But in the event you guys don't register your chip or they cannot get a hold of you because we're the purchaser of the chip, we will always get a phone call in the event they cannot get a hold of you guys so that we can help to make sure that your dog has a safety net and a nice safe place to land.
And we connect our chips to our clients. So we keep all that information. We have it in our drive, in our database. So if a dog ever gets lost, they always call, and it's really cool.
It is. It's cool to kind of follow.
But I know a lot of y'all did not know that we microchipped our puppies, and we do, and that's included in the price of your puppy. You know, we microchip
So
them
interesting that you say that because the animal control officer said, so it's kind of funny, this dog actually was chipped twice.
Yeah.
Where the owner didn't realize that the puppy was chipped, and then the vet had chipped it a second time, and neither chip was registered.
Oh my gosh.
She hadn't registered either one of the chips. So chips are all registered now. All of it is good. But you're right. A lot of our clients don't realize our puppies are chipped, and that dog happened to be chipped twice.
Well, sometimes we chip them twice.
Yeah, well, so on that note, we do.
Yeah, if we can't find it or something.
And that's what happens. So sometimes, so our chipping process is kind of cool. So we have the microchip and we always scan it before putting it in the puppy to make sure it's working. Then we put the chip in the puppy, scan it, make sure it's working. Well, sometimes the puppy's body rejects the chip and will push it back out within that first week or so. Sometimes the chip just stops working. So then we'll scan it, and if the chip isn't working or if it's been pushed back out, we will re-chip the puppy. But in the event that that chip just stopped working and randomly starts working again, or if it just migrated, because sometimes we'll put them in one spot and they will migrate around.
All the way down the leg or something.
Yeah.
Because they're like a little tiny grain of rice.
And so you might, whenever you pick up your puppy, get 2 microchip numbers on there, but that just signifies that the puppy was chipped twice, and that just means the first chip that we put in stopped working at some point. A second one was put in, but you never know. Sometimes those second chips start working again.
So that's what we always let you know. That's in your puppy kit. So
yes,
that's really good. Yes, and I had a client call today about rabies, really wanting to make sure they had their dog's rabies. And we do that too when they're in the 16-week program.
We do. Once the puppies reach a certain age for transport, we always do the rabies vaccine. And it also depends. So extra smalls, we wait a little bit to do it, but we always do the rabies vaccine. Actually, Alabama's kind of a weird state with rabies.
I know. We do have weird state. I mean, because we have to do it every year.
We got to do it once a year. And a lot of people don't know, but we're one of the few states that we airdrop rabies vaccines for the wild animal population. So we've got a couple people I've actually been watching in some of the
Okay, explain that. Airdrop in it.
So it's actually an oral version of the rabies vaccine.
Okay.
So they fly over with like a helicopter.
I'm sitting here thinking my airdrop's on. I'm like, what is she talking about?
So like they fly over with a helicopter and drop these vaccines. It's like a little packet out of the plane.
That's pretty cool.
And it's for the wild cats, possums, raccoons. It's basically bait for them to eat to give a vaccine to them. Well, I've seen a lot of people, they actually do it at the first of the year. So I've seen a lot of people posting like over by the ranch and whatnot, that, hey, these were in my yard. Watch out for this for your pet.
Like?
It's just like, you know what it actually looks like? You know those things
Because I've never seen one. Have y'all ever heard of that or seen it in your area?
You know those things that are like in the packages, the like silica packets, you know, that are in like your purse or something. Like whenever you get it, those little packets like that. They kind of look like that, but they're like that size.
Tiny.
Yeah, so they're pretty little, but they just look like a little just foiled packet that they drop out of a plane.
And you think the wild animals eat them?
No doubt they eat them. So they definitely
have a good flavor. So that's really interesting. I've never heard of that.
Kind of cool. But yeah, they do it a lot, especially around, in Baldwin County. So they really target towards Gulf Shores. They do a lot in the more rural areas. So
I wonder if there's ever any animals that actually get rabies in our area.
That's why they do it, because it does happen. So we're considered one of those rabies zones where we do in Baldwin County probably have about 3 to 5 cases that are reported per year, and like possums, raccoons, that kind of stuff.
Alabama provides, Jeffrey's saying, rabies vaccines early. Illinois doesn't perform rabies until 16 weeks.
Yeah, they require, in the state of Alabama, they do it at 12 weeks, but require it before 6 months of age.
Yeah.
Like you have to have it by the time they're 6 months old, but they start it as early as 12 weeks.
God, that's crazy. All right, so today we've had a lot of people asking us about dog food and what do we like, what do we recommend? And I'd love to hear from you guys, like if you're using something different than what your puppy went home on. Now, all of our puppies go home on Purina Pro Plan. It is that focused chicken and rice puppy, but I know a lot of people freaking out right now over Pro Plan. And every veterinarian that I've spoken to, all the people at Purina, they're all saying that all this stuff that's out there on TikTok is not real. Even a new vet that I interviewed last week when I was speaking to her, she was like, hey, I've already talked to them. All of my dogs are on Pro Plan. She said it's like one of the best foods out there and nothing's been a problem. And she said they've sent communication to all the veterinarians all over the country explaining it.
So all of the trainer groups and breeder groups and all that we're in, everybody is still feeling really confident and good. Nobody's really having any issues. And so what got posted was just somebody opened up a bag and it had like the worms and that kind of stuff.
Well, I opened one up and it had worms, and I shared that with my supporters last night. But it was just like
mealworms.
It was like it looked like a maggot to me,
and
it had like almost like a net, like a spider web on several of the foods. So I figured it came out of that.
So I'm going to use a whole separate example.
That's gross.
So everybody has food. Everybody has things that they store, things that they do.
Yeah.
And so at any given time, a bag of food can have something that's in it. I mean, and that can happen at the store. It can happen in distribution.
Well, the shelf life is over 2 years. I mean, it can sit there because of its preservatives. They can sit on a shelf.
But I would ask, has anybody ever bought a bag of flour or rice at the grocery store and you open it and then there's something in it where it just acquired it? It doesn't mean that the grocery store is bad or that rice is bad. It just means that at some point in the process, something got in it. It is still gross. I agree. It's disgusting. It's gross.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily something that's coming through Purina, because we can open up 10 bags of food and none of them will have a problem. We can open another 10 bags and none of them will have a problem. Open up another 10 bags and one of them has some stuff in it.
Well, when we opened this one, we took a big glass measuring cup. My dad and I, me and Papa, and we were scooping it out like 2 cups. We poured it in a glass bowl, looked at it, poured it in the dog feeder. Did another 2 cups, looked at it. I mean, we did find in that one bag, we did find some that grows, 2 or 3 of them, but we did the next few bags, nothing. So I was like, well, I mean, why would I change something that's so readily available? It's really good. We've not seen a lot of problems. We kind of went through that nervous moment and then we backed up. We were going to change everybody. We got on the bandwagon for what? 24 hours?
Yes, for
And then
about
we were
24
like,
hours.
I don't know about that.
Well, the other thing too, and y'all, one of the things to be really, I want to make sure to say, one of the reasons we landed on Purina and ProPlan in particular is because there's only, at last time I discussed this and researched it, 3 foods in the United States that actually do food trials with dogs. Not, I made a food and I'm going to send it to a lab and it says it's nutritionally complete and balanced, but actually maintain a facility to feed the food to dogs as they do formulation changes, as they're making it. And so Purina ProPlan went through food trials, and they regularly do feeding trials with dogs so that they can maintain that quality control. And for us, that was really important. I didn't want our dogs to be the experiment that came out of the lab. I would rather our dogs be, you know, it's already run through all of that process beforehand.
Right.
Now, something that I did find out in doing all the research in food and all, and this is something we try to stay really up on, is in 2023, apparently the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, made some changes to labeling requirements.
Really?
That makes you, and it's just something to just pay attention to. So one of the things that they've changed is they no longer have to list minimums and maximums of certain ingredients. They only have to list a minimum on certain ingredients. So things like copper and other trace minerals or heavy metals, they only have to put minimums on. Hey, and it's not just dog food. It's kind of across the board.
Really?
Yes.
On everything? Okay.
So y'all pay attention to some of those things. There are certain foods that, yes, you still have to list minimums and maximums, but for a lot of people who have sensitivities or dogs with sensitivities, this is where we're starting to see some issues, because you can list a minimum, but there's no maximum listed. So you have no idea how much might be in there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that could be a problem with heavy metals.
It could be a problem with some trace minerals as well, where you can almost get too much in your system of certain things.
You have to be careful with that. Now, there are 2 other foods that if you go to our website under puppy care, you'll see that we also recommend 2 other foods. But the difference with these is they are drop ship only, and that's not going to be something that I can be feeding Kier and that you can actually go get it.
Correct.
If you decided, hey, I'm going to get this puppy today, and you go drive home, you have to drop ship this order, and it takes to get started a week or so. Now, once you get on it, they're going to drop ship every week, but that first bag can be very hard to get.
It can be. And the other thing is figuring out how often you need it can be kind of a process. But I'm going to go on record and say, for my dogs at my house, I feed Purina and I drop ship. Yeah. So I do both. I could go to the store and buy it, but I do the subscribe and save, and so I have it come to my house anyway.
So I'm seeing a lot of y'all. Jeff is transitioning from Purina ProPlan chicken to salmon. I've done that with my dogs. I did that with London and Fletcher, mainly for London, but London likes Life's Abundance too. Never had an issue, Shelley, with ProPlan. So far, ProPlan is pretty much what everybody is talking about. So, I mean, Jeff said his vet recommends it. All her dogs are on it, or their dogs. That's what the new vet that I interviewed. We're talking to a new vet that's opening up locally, and I'm real excited. We're going to connect with her. And, you know, our old Dr. Cordy, he retired, and it just hadn't been the same without him. Yeah. We loved it that he could come here.
We love our vet, Dr. Myers, who is over at Theodore. But it's like 45 minutes without traffic one way.
And how many of y'all have traveled on the Bayway and you have to go through the tunnel and all that traffic when the summertime comes? It's almost impossible to get back and forth. So we have got to have a vet on this side of the bay. Now, Dr. Myers is great because he is an orthopedic specialist, and we're going to make that drive. If somebody has a surgery or needs something special, like Dr. Cordy would always tell us, go see Dr. Myers. He's the man. He's the guy. And we finally said, well, then we probably need to develop a relationship when Dr. Cordy was like 75. We were like, we really got to get a plan. But we did love the fact that he came here. He did the health certificates. It just was nice. But this new vet, she says that she can do that.
Yes,
so I'm
which
really
will be great.
excited about that. We'll share more about her later. But we've got to have our first real meeting. I've done the phone interview so far, but it sounds like everybody here is loving the ProPlan, but Will's got up the pictures. So whenever you go to our website under Puppy Care, you can see the Life's Abundance, and they do have an all all stages of dog food that's kind of like a puppy and life food, but they've got different versions of it. And a lot of breeders use that or will transition the dogs kind of to a 50-50 Life's Abundance or poultry and pro plan, just so that if you can't get a hold to the pro plan, the Life's Abundance or the poultry, because it's drop ship only, then you got the pro plan in there, and it makes for an easier transition. It don't mess up their gut.
Well, and I can say, like, from our experience, the Life's Abundance is a great food. We have a lot of people who feed it who really, really love it. But particularly for, like, their dogs as they get a little older, the food is kind of hard. So for a lot of people with younger puppies, the poultry works great because it has a smaller kibble that's really easy to eat. The poultry has some customizable options, and they have some really cool add-in mix-ins that they've got to kind of help with the flavor and really make it kind of, because a lot of people feel like they don't eat the same thing every day, so they feel like their dog shouldn't have to eat the same thing. Yeah, they want a variety,
and you're okay to do this as long as you're not switching to a lower grade food and you're keeping a good quality food. I've not really seen a problem with my adult dogs going from like a Life's Abundance and then over to Pro Plan, because they're all good quality. They have the same amount pretty much of protein and everything in them.
Well, in poultry, they do those mix-ins because let's say you're on the chicken and oatmeal formula, but you feel like your dog needs some variety. Well, you can do a little variety of this flavor on top and then maybe this flavor over here on a different day. And those are called
superfoods too. They've got all those, and we love those.
Yes, they do a little extra vitamins, minerals, a little nutritional supplement on top of it. So it'll allow you to keep to the same diet with your dog, but to kind of change up the flavor profile just a little bit if you want to make sure they have a little variety.
And they appreciate that. But we do want to tell you that it is safe to put an egg, just a raw egg, over your dog's food. We prefer organic. We like it, but it's because that's what we have.
It's easy to access when you have a farm.
So how many chickens do you have right now? My chicken coop is under renovation, so all the chickens kind of left, and now Carol's got.
Yeah, so I have right at about 35 hens and 4 roosters. And I have a couple of hens that, even though it's really, really cold, have decided that it's time to be broody. So actually the hen that's Lauren's hen at my house just hatched 4 babies and is walking around with them.
I can't wait to get our chickens back. I love that. But now that we're feeding the chicken eggs and duck eggs to our dogs, they are loving it.
Yeah, it's just really great and a healthy supplement to add. So one of the things that we're working with is making some adjustments with our puppy gruel. So basically the weaning formula that we use.
Well, did you get a picture of that? A puppy picture of them eating food?
I couldn't find one. I looked for a while, but
yeah, that's okay.
So basically, we're just kind of playing with a couple of different recipes just to give them what we need. So often you have to add supplements and then you give them a supplement. But what we're doing is we're experimenting a little bit with, hey, let's just put it in a blender and put it all in one spot. And they love it.
We have Kathy, who used to be a cafeteria person that worked in the elementary school. And she's like, I'm making puppy gruel.
Yeah.
So she's literally blending up the biome, which is a Hills food. It's more of a digestion food for, for their stomach. Yeah.
So we have some of the biome.
For the new puppies, weaning.
Right.
Yes.
And then we also have the Purina that we're using for the puppies. So we do have both that we're doing. And she literally is just in a blender with water, mixing it all up. And then we have some egg yolk that goes in it. We also have a couple of other things that we put in it, some probiotics, some really good stuff.
Secret super ingredients, but it's made the puppies love it. And it's something for them to transition over to and keep their digestion going well, their little GI tracts. Because the one thing that we found with golden retrievers, they can pretty much eat anything. But when you mix that poodle into it, the poodle side of the family, that's where you get that more sensitive tummy. So you've got that with all of our breeds. You've got the poodle mixed in there, and just depending on how much poodle is in your actual breeding, then you're going to see, and sometimes you don't see anything. Like London she pretty much can eat anything but sausage. You give her a piece of sausage and she's got a problem.
Well, one of the other things we've kind of run into a little bit is, and some of you guys may have been impacted a little bit by this, is we breed for the most loving, affectionate, sweetest, engaged puppies who, God love them, do not want to wean. I mean, they are
Yeah.
babies from the beginning. They just love everybody, love everything.
They don't wanna give up mommy.
They don't want to give up their mom. So we needed to make that food that they're moving over to just a little more appealing. And so that's
Yeah.
something else we're playing with just a little bit. So,
Oh, she said, Jeff said that he was at the vet. He mentioned Emerson's DNA and health study report came back with no inherited concerns. My vet said, wow, terrific breeding practices. And I said, Smeraglia is the best and should be the only breeding program for doodles. Well,
Yes.
we couldn't probably keep up with all the demand in the world.
Right.
But I tell you, thank you for that. We feel
We do
like we
appreciate
do
it.
we do our best to be the best. That's our goal.
we work at it.
It's a lot of work. Trial and
Yep.
error. You live, you learn, you go through it, you make mistakes, and you try never to
Yep.
make that again, right?
Labor of love, that's for sure.
It certainly is. Okay, so, all right, so that's our food topic today. Now, if you guys are interested in trying Poultry or Life's Abundance, go to my website. We'll also put a link below so that you can just link over to it. There's lots of great products there. Hey, try different things. I know last night when I was talking on our Yappy Hour, several people were saying they liked Royal Canin. Mm-hmm. That's a
Excellent
pretty good
food,
food. Yeah. Any other food? I don't think anybody's mentioned
So Royal
anything.
Canin is one of the 3 that do
Yeah.
food trials.
They do. What's the other one?
So it's some of the prescription lines of Hills.
Okay, so those are your top 3 anyway, right there, companies. But all right, so Carol, anything else happening today that would be like really juicy information that you've learned in the medical or dog world, like that you've been talking to people? I know you talk around the country with so many different people. Is there anything we need to know? I mean, she's like, what's that mean?
Probably. I'm like, probably.
Okay, I put her on the spot.
So my family makes fun of me that I have all this stuff in my head
Yeah.
and I'd be really great on Jeopardy, but I can't find my way home some days because I just forget. So I'm sure there is stuff that you guys need to know. Why don't y'all ask some questions? And I
Yeah,
can
if you have
answer.
any questions, we'll answer those. We'll take just a minute or two so that if you've got it. And sorry, I've got a tickle on my nose. It's like
So-
somebody's got a feather tickling me right now.
So one of the things that I will say as far as in the food category that we're looking at is, so we talked about the 2 different foods that we're feeding
Right,
with the
right.
gruel. We have the Purina that we're doing, and then we also have Biome. So for those of you who don't know what Biome is, so Hills for a long time made this food called ID that was stood for intestinal diet. Well, they did a lot of research. They took a lot of time to figure out a food that was specifically targeted diarrhea. Diarrhea for no great reason. Your fecals are negative. Everything else is normal. Why does this dog have diarrhea?
why?
So stress colitis. So
Lots
Biome
of
is
stress.
literally nicknamed the diarrhea diet because it works great at clearing up diarrhea. So we use that right at weaning because that's the first time that they're really
Yes.
on food. They're moving away from mom. So it really helps to really make
And
for a
we
nice
do
healthy
not
gut.
want to give them food and then give them diarrhea.
Correct.
Now, my dogs all went through diarrhea last week for no reason. London did, and then Fletcher did. Parvati did. Also, Hermione and Lily. We were like, what the heck is
Yeah.
going on? Now, Lauren thought it had to do with the fact that she made her own dog food. But it really wasn't that.
No, I think there
we
was a
thought
bug
it
going around.
was,
Yeah, but because all of the dogs ran through it,
Yeah.
it must have been a little bug that was going around.
So Lauren made chicken. No, she did rice and tuna, and she put vegetables in it. The dogs love it. She said they were just like, I mean, inhaling it, waiting on the next meal, and then trying to eat each other's.
Yes.
And she was like, they never eat that much. So she thought they might have overate because, you know, they love the food so much. But then when mine went through it and mine did not eat the food, I said, okay, something's going around. So sometimes things just happen.
They
You just
do.
never
And you know what? Just like with people, that was one other thing that maybe is a takeaway when we talk about dog diarrhea is people can get, I mean, I hate to say it, diarrhea. There's commercials on TV about it all the time. But the whole thing is, but you don't run to the doctor every time you have a little bit of diarrhea. As long as you feel okay and it happens, it's okay. But for whatever reason, and I get it, with our dog, you're having to run them in and out. And I know you had said London got you up early.
Oh my God, I was so glad. It was 2:30 in the morning, and I just heard just like that. And I looked up, and she was just sitting, leaning on the door, and I said, you got to go potty? She took off. Went outside, I kid you not, 10 times, just all over the yard. And I was like, thank God she was sleeping in my room tonight.
Yes.
Because a lot of nights she wants to stay on the couch. Oh my God, I would have woken up to the biggest mess. She wouldn't have been able to hold it.
Right. Well, and that's
That
the
was
thing.
2:30. She
But
wouldn't have held it.
she was eating, she was drinking, she felt
It's
okay.
fine.
No reason to rush her in at that point to get checked out. Now, I'm not saying don't get your dog checked out if they're sick and not feeling good, but dogs have dietary indiscretion. They pick up little bugs. Their immune system will deal with it. So in the absence of other symptoms, sometimes diarrhea is just diarrhea.
Yeah, she said her dog, Margaret's dog, was eating indoor plants and vomiting. You got to be careful with that because some of those are poisonous. You got to be very careful, but it got her throwing up diarrhea and everything. And she thinks maybe it's just boredom ideas. That
Could
would
be.
Are you saying you would like topics about boredom ideas?
We can talk enrichment, so that's a really good topic. So one of the tips that I always have if your dog is prone to chewing on plants or chewing on anything in particular, put something next to that item that is going to draw their attention through smell and make them walk away. So you think maybe a Kong that is stuffed with peanut butter that you put in the freezer. So when they walk over to the plant, because that's their habit, as soon as they get to the plant, their nose will go, ooh, what is that smell? They'll see this, and this is not just a real quick eat it. It's a pick it up and walk away from the plant to
That's
then be
good.
rewarded for walking away.
That's a good thing. All right. Jeffrey, we do have a sweet potato treat recipe. Joe made them one for us, and we had a whole little social media event. That was before you were in our family, though. So I will have to find that and post it. We really love it. And we have a good friend, James Sermon, who has a sweet potato farm. And he was like, I can get you all the sweet potatoes you want. So it's really good. We mixed it up like with an organic flour. I think he used some peanut butter. I mean, it was like a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
The dogs loved it. And we actually used a bone cookie cutter, so they looked beautiful.
Oh, well, that's amazing.
Yeah, we did that. Joe is really all about wanting to make homemade dog food. But I told him, hold on, we're working on a puppy gruel right now. We will talk about adult food a little later. He wants to get out there and make it all.
Yeah, no, we've been talking with Joe about fermenting foods and things like that as well. So
Yeah, good things. All right, guys. Well, it was a great coffee chat. We got to get back to the dogs. We got to get back out on the farm. But I thank y'all for joining us. I will be back at Doodle Prep School Thursday at 1:30, and I will be at Doodle Drop tomorrow at 3:15.
yeah, I think tomorrow, Will and I already discussed, I think we'll do Zendaya's litter tomorrow.
Yeah,
So it
yes.
should be fun.
All right, that sounds wonderful. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.